Down number 2 of the Art Lewis Show. Today, we're going to talk about a career. It spanned a few years. By training, a chemical engineer, he is a senior vice president, still a senior vice president of Hemlock Semiconductor, at least officially through Monday and a little beyond that. And we say good morning to Andy Alt. Andy, good morning.
Good morning, Art. It's a pleasure to be here.
Same. It's a pleasure to have you, to say the least. So let's, before we get into some of the things happening at HSC and how it's changed over the years, what's the Andy Alt story? How'd you get into chemical engineering, which your degree is in?
I'm actually second generation Dow Corning. So my father actually worked for Dow Corning, and so he was a chemical engineer. So I was surrounded by that. I had affinity for that, obviously going through high school with sciences, and so I knew pretty early on that I wanted to be a chemical engineer, and then I ended up going to Purdue, getting a chemical engineering bachelor's, and then at Purdue I was a co-op student. So every other semester I worked for Dow Corning. So I ended up hiring full-time to Dow Corning, and 36 years later, here I am. So
at Hemlock Semiconductor, Dow Corning was involved in that for years, right?
Yes.
So it was a natural transition for you to move over.
Yeah, so Dow Corning actually, in the very beginning of Hemlock in 1961, it was really Dow Corning that started HSC,
Yeah.
and Dow Corning essentially was the majority owner all the way up until 2016 when the Dow DuPont mergers happened.
And Dow Corning was a collaborative of Dow and Corning.
Yes.
Corning Glass, right?
Yep, 50-50 joint venture between Dow and Corning Incorporated.
50-50. What did that sound like in a boardroom?
I think for Dow Corning it was actually pretty nice because neither one of them had a lot of direct influence. So,
Oh, good.
So Dow Corning got to run pretty independently.
It was. I mean, and that's true. It was very independent, wasn't it?
Yes.
So, and so you come into the field. Was chemical engineering everything you expected it to be?
Yeah. It was really not unexpected at all what I was going to get into.
You lived through it, right?
Yeah, I'd lived through it. I'd seen my dad and what he did really different things. He was mostly a quality engineer through his career, so he ended up doing very different things than I did with my career. But
what'd you do with yours?
So
Before you got into the administrative side.
So I started as a process engineer, and I was doing lab scale process development. I moved into manufacturing engineering. I was in Carrollton, Kentucky at the time, a basic silicones plant in Kentucky for Dow Corning. And so I was a manufacturing engineer and kind of grew up into a senior manufacturing engineer, went to Barry Wales for a while on a startup, came back and then transitioned into leadership positions and have been doing some form of operations or project leadership ever since.
So, as senior VP, your responsibilities have been in what? Operating side?
I'm the vice president of manufacturing. So, all of the operations of Hemlock Semiconductor have been my responsibility.
Okay, so how much are you going to miss it?
Oh, I'm definitely gonna miss the people. First and foremost, I will miss the people. But yeah, I'm gonna miss it. I'm gonna miss the challenge. I'm gonna miss the problem solving. So yeah, there will be that element. But I'm also really looking forward to this next chapter where I can focus on my health and my family and the community and really have some fun. So
any consulting work?
We'll see.
I always ask that of big executives that retire out. You're going to keep your hand in it. So, a lot of guys say no. I'm out. I'm done.
Yeah, I'm more likely to be extremely involved in the community and doing a lot more. Getting more involved.
Is great.
Yeah, getting more involved with the nonprofits. So
that's good because we need folks like that with the kind of talent you have. That's a good thing for the nonprofits. So you go through Corning into Hemlock Semiconductor. While the product itself probably hasn't changed very much over the years, other than maybe in purification, how has the industry changed?
Yeah, so, when I first started, solar wasn't really an intentional product.
Yeah.
So this is in 2006. So I came to Hemlock for the first time in 2006, and semiconductor was the bread and butter, and it was that was really what we did. And then the fallout. So if you made off-spec things, whatever, that got sort of sold off into people that were dabbling in the solar market. 2006, that was really the start of the boom for solar as an intentional industry. So that really created the path for HSE to really have two really critical markets. So the semiconductor, which is still the bread and butter and the core, and then a solar market that is volume and has a lot more potential. So all of the growth and the big expansions that happened that I was a part of when I first came to HSE, that's what I did. I led the chemical recovery side expansions all the way from 2006 to 2013, and that was all driven by solar at the time.
How different was the end product for chips versus solar?
Fundamentally, I mean, it's all just it's all hyper pure polysilicon.
Yeah.
It's more in the way we process. The specs are a little less stringent in the solar side, so you can do some different things to be able to be more efficient and produce faster. But
I know I correct you, one of the top 3 in the world.
Yes.
That turns out the product.
Yes. Not from a volume perspective. The solar side is so huge from a volume. We're pretty small from a solar volume perspective. The Chinese completely dominated that market, and so from a volume, they're gigantic. But on the semiconductor side, yes, that market is much harder to get into, and we're really one of the top 2.
There was a push. We learned a lot during COVID. The first thing we learned is how dependent we were on other nations for things, including chips. Have you seen much of a revival of chip manufacturing in this country where your products stay here?
Yeah, and we're definitely seeing more of that. The chip fabs are starting to grow. So the IRA and some of the initiatives that happened in the last 10 years have started to really see some growth. So we've got obviously customers in the U.S. We still have a lot that goes into Japan as well. So,
but you talk about a company like HSE. I mean, that's been pretty continuous growth, hasn't it?
Yeah, especially since 2006. But even before that, with the growth, the big expansions before, the ones that started in the late 2000s were in the mid 1990s. So that the semiconductor industry was growing and growing and growing, and then all of a sudden solar came, and so we've just been riding that growth, and now it's our drive is really to have a solar supply chain that is contained completely in the U.S. to supply the U.S. market, and so that's where our partner and own majority owner Corning is investing downstream, so they're becoming one of our biggest customers as well.
Yeah. I kind of chuckled because you had Dow Corning and it all of a sudden becomes something else in Hemlock Semiconductor. There you stand, and the next thing you know, Corning is spending $1.5 billion across the street, and Corning is back in the game again.
Yeah.
So what's the relationship?
Yeah. So actually, Corning is kind of the one consistent from an ownership perspective. Since Dow Corning owned 50% or owned 80% of HSE, Corning owned 50% of Dow Corning. So Corning has actually been there since the beginning. Now, obviously, several steps removed through all of that. But then in all the mechanizations of the Dow-DuPont transition, Corning ended up ultimately becoming our majority owner. So we went to DuPont for a brief time, and then it transitioned to Corning. So Corning stayed there. They always had 40% through that whole transition, and then they just assumed DuPont's other 40% to become our majority owner.
Okay, we're going to take a break, come back. We're talking to Andy Alt. He's a senior vice president at Hemlock Semiconductor, but soon to be retired. And we will be back with more.
Ready to update your home and
Back with you in studio with me, Andy Alt from Hemlock Semiconductor. He is a senior vice president, but soon to be retired. And as you look back at your career, Andy, highs and lows, what really captured your imagination?
Yeah, highs for me. I mean, I think there's two that I'll really focus on. One is people. mean, everything in my career is related on the people I work with and the relationships that I've made, both internally within the company and externally in the community. And then the second part is, to me, our role as HSC in the local community and the things we've done. And the biggest highlight in that is the Lockwood STEM Center and our involvement in helping make sure that became a reality and the impact that's having on kids in the western part of Saginaw County and introducing them to STEM and getting them involved in those sort of science and robotics type activities.
It must be in the corporate psyche because Hemlock Semiconductor has always been a good corporate citizen. Sponsor all kinds of things in this region.
Yeah, we're
lucky to have. We have the Dows, the Hemlock Semiconductors, the Garbers. The list goes on and on. I don't know. I'm not sure everybody around here recognizes how lucky we are to have these kinds of philanthropy organizations.
Yeah, and I would agree. All those people you mentioned. I mean, there's a really good philanthropic network in the sort of corporate community locally, and HSE, we're really proud to be part of that. I mean, we've got a strong relationship with with Temple Arts, so the Saginaw Art Museum and the Temple. We're
Saginaw Celebrates Summer.
Yep, we sponsor that. Yep, we and then obviously we're very involved with the STEM education things and driving that, as I mentioned with the Lockwood STEM Center in Hemlock, and then the other big one that probably goes a lot less noticed is our involvement with first responders and the amount of training and activity that we do to encourage and support the first responder community.
Yeah, we appreciate that. Let me. My mind just went blank. Question just left my head. Let me recycle just a minute. Anyway, so from your standpoint as an engineer, you had family and drew you into it. How is recruiting today for our STEM needs, particularly engineers, be chemical process, whatever? How are we doing in finding young people that are interested in these fields?
I think for Hemlock, we're doing really well. And it really starts with what I talked about, investing early in STEM with high school kids, and even all the way the first robotics programs are going down to Lego robotics at the elementary school. So just getting young people enthusiastic about sort of science. And to me, that goes, you could go be an engineer, but you can also be an electrician, or skilled trades are so important and critical to everything we do.
Which we ignored for a lot of years. Yep. I mean, I understood, everybody, the push for 4 years, got to go to college. And we kind of abandoned the skilled trades. And I think we're paying for it.
Yeah, we obviously have valued that and are investing in lots of ways in promoting the skilled trades.
And you work with Delta College.
Yep, Delta College through the Saginaw Career Center. Lots of programs around. We've got apprenticeships. We actually have high school apprentices that are coming in through the Saginaw Career Center to actually learn skilled trades on the job in our plant, and walking out with an apprenticeship as they retire, and then we're hiring them in full time so they can complete all their needs for their apprenticeships and then move into being journey people. So yeah, it's a really good path.
Yeah, I've told some young people, look, go become a welder. You can make more coming out of welding than you can coming out of college in many cases.
And an extremely transferable skill, welding is. So. Welding, electrician, and instrument folks, those are few and far between. And these days, especially moving into sort of mechatronics and robotics, it's an endless field. So
when an employee comes into HSC, what kind of training do they go through internally? How far does HSC then carry the training program to develop these folks into what they need on the lines and what have you?
Yeah, it really depends on the job, right? So obviously in the skilled trades, you will go through and you'll start as an apprentice, and you'll go through structured apprenticeship programs. If you're coming in as an operator, we have an apprenticeship program for operators as well. So we'll go to school at Delta. After they're hired, we actually will send people to Delta to do additional training. If they haven't come through the chemical program that's already at Delta, we send about a 10-week session. especially for people that started maybe in the entry level clean room operator level. If they want to progress up into the chemical operator side, we'll run them through that apprenticeship process to develop that internally and be able to grow into those higher level jobs.
Have you found that the schools like Delta will tailor programs to your needs? If you need process operators, they can create the courses to point people in that direction.
Yeah, Delta's been a fantastic partner for doing that, and they tailor specifically around what our needs are.
How long does it take for someone to come in and from day one to become competent and fully autonomous in what they're doing?
Yeah, I mean, again, it really depends on the job, but for the our true entry level manufacturing, it's really 2 weeks of pretty intense on training before they're sort of certified and out on the line.
So what's it like for the engineer who comes in, got the degree in hand?
Yep.
But maybe never worked a day in his life or her life. They got the paper. Now what?
Yeah, so we've got two things for that. So one, we have a really strong internship program. So we actually start to get.
So you got them while they're still.
We start to get
college.
kids while they're in college, so they start to get a sense of who we are. We tend to hire full time out of that, and then for their first year, we have an associate engineer program where we keep them in a pool. And they spend about 50% of their time doing education, developmental things, and 50% of their time doing project and supporting an area versus just throwing them in to go. You're now the manufacturing engineer of this process that you don't know anything
that
about.
That wouldn't be smart.
Right. So we actually have a pretty good development program for the engineers, through their first year, and then as there's turnover and holes open in those sort of regular positions, they migrate out to those.
Has all our efforts to push STEM paid off?
I think for us right now, yeah, we're getting all the talent that we need at the moment, but it's never going to stop. So we got to keep it up.
Yeah. All right, we're going to take a break. Come back. We're talking to Andy Alt. He is a senior vice president at Hemlock Semiconductor, but retiring. Talk more with him when we return. Let me talk about Krysiak's House Family Restaurant for a moment. Best place to go for your authentic home-cooked foods with a European flair and at reasonable prices. Now's the time to think about getting together with friends and family for lunch or dinner. Maybe events coming up soon like graduations, confirmations, weddings, showers, anniversaries. Krysiak's has an economical way for you to supply the food. You can order what you want in Polish and American foods and then just pick it up at the restaurant, ready to go. Or, better yet, have your celebration right there at the restaurant. And don't forget, at a moment's notice, Krysiak's can help. Call them at 989-894-5531. Krysiak's House Family Restaurant, corner of Cass and Michigan on Bay City's south side. Online, Krysiaks.com, spelled KRZYSIAKS.com. We'll be back right after these notes.
Gotta go.
Hi, we're back with you in studio with me, Andy Alt. He is the senior vice president at Hemlock Semiconductor. Explain to folks, without giving away trade secrets, and I know how tight that is at Hemlock Semiconductor, what the product is that Hemlock Semiconductor makes and where that product ends up, so that people have some understanding of what all that big stuff is out there.
Sure. Yeah, you see semiconductor in our name, and everyone immediately goes to chips. And,
right.
We don't make chips. We actually make hyperpure polysilicon, which is the foundational material that chips are built on. So without the polysilicon, there are no chips. So that's really what we make. And in addition to the semiconductor side going into the chips that go into your phones, that go into your car, that go into your laptop, we also have the solar side, because the foundational thing for a solar cell is also polysilicon. So that hyperpure polysilicon that we produce is really the backbone for both semiconductor industry and solar. And the nice thing about Hemlock, we're 30% of the semiconductor market, so everybody out there is carrying a little bit of us around with them in their phone or driving in their car. So.
And the raw material producing this is
quartz, ultimately.
Yeah.
So quartz out of the ground gets refined into metallurgical grade silicon that becomes our feed.
And how's the supply of quartz? And where is it mined mostly?
I mean, most of ours is either from the U.S. or in Brazil. and so is South America is our sourcing.
Well, how far? What's the footprint of Hemlock Semiconductor in terms of manufacturing? How many facilities are there?
2 technically, because we own part of the in the iPark in Midland, but it's all here in mid Michigan. So we've got the big facility in Hemlock, and then we own assets in the iPark in Midland.
And that's it. Everything comes out of here.
Everything comes out of here. So we supply the world 30% of the world's semiconductor polysilicon right out of western Saginaw County.
And so what then goes over to Corning in that new facility?
Yeah, so obviously we make polysilicon and it goes to Corning. Corning is the next step of the solar supply chain. They then take our polysilicon and actually turn that into wafers. So they will melt it down, pull in a single crystal ingot, and they have saws that slice it into really, really thin wafers. And those wafers then become what the solar cells get built on.
Everything you make comes out in what, sheets?
No,
Or
in
wafers? Well,
rocks.
Rocks.
Yeah.
Oh, hard material.
Yep, so rocks. Yeah, so different size rocks.
Everything is sliced off those rocks then.
Yeah, so
Shaved almost.
no, they actually will. So Corning takes our material and actually will melt it in a crucible. So they'll melt it down and then they'll actually pull a new ingot that is a single crystal. And that single crystal ingot, then they go and they slice that into very thin wafers.
Oh. So
Millions a day.
Why don't you just produce the ingot?
Because you can't ultimately get to the purity you need, unfortunately.
And that is a key element, isn't it? The purity of what you produce in that silicon
Yes.
is really the key, isn't it? And that's where all the corporate privacy, shall we say, comes into play.
That's
right?
where the challenge is. So we're, on the semiconductor side, we have less than a part per trillion impurities in our silicon. That's what we have to shoot for. And it keeps getting tighter and tighter. So we talked a little bit earlier about what's changed. The purity requirements in semiconductor keep getting stricter and stricter because the chips and these really powerful chips that they're making keep getting smaller and smaller, and the communication gates that they build onto those chips keep getting tighter and tighter. So if there's any impurities within those gates, the chips don't work.
So do you sell then directly to manufacturers like NVIDIA, or are there middlemen in between?
Yeah, on the semiconductor side, like Corning is doing ingot wafer on the solar side, we sell to the ingot wafer producers on the semiconductor side.
Who then sell to
TSMC and Intel and
those that make the chips themselves.
Yep.
It's a real process, isn't it?
It is. It's a pretty complicated supply chain.
Do you expect there's going to be more chip manufacturing in the United States? We're going to be able to get a lot of that business back.
Yeah, we know that we've got customers, and our customers that are investing in the U.S.
That's a good thing.
Yes, that's a very good thing.
We have been dependent on. Well, who's the big? Taiwan probably.
Taiwan
biggest,
is
right?
Taiwan is still the biggest with TSMC. Yeah.
That's the biggest chip manufacturer.
Yes.
Which is why we had all those pickup trucks sitting on the side of the road back in COVID, right?
Yeah, there were other issues with that on the supply chain perspective.
but
we won't go into that. There were some major supply chain issues with that.
How's the supply chain for you guys?
Ours is
uninterrupted.
Yeah, ours is relatively stable. We don't have a huge breadth of supply needs. We're pretty simple from that perspective. We get metallurgical grade silicon from about six different suppliers.
You have contracts with them.
Contracts with them. Yep. And then, other than that, it's more consumable materials. Those are the things that we're always working on, whether it's packaging or parts and pumps and all those sorts of things for keeping the plant running. Those are the ones that get the tightest. Electrical equipment is really, really hard to get. It takes a long, long time.
Really?
Yep. So like transformers. Partly, I mean, if you do hear a lot in the news about growth in certain industries, and they're taking a lot of electrical infrastructure.
Yeah, and what some of those transformers are filled with and all that good stuff. All right, we'll take one more break. Talking to Andy Alt, Senior Vice President at Hemlock Semiconductor, and retiring. We'll be back.
The time has come to ask attorney.
Back with you. Talking to Andy Alt, Senior Vice President of Hemlock Semiconductor, at least for another 2 days. actually for a month and a couple of days, but technically he's only going to work till Monday. And the smile is ear to ear. How, we look at all of the things that are going on in the world, including Hormuz and all of that stuff. Has that had much impact on us here?
I think the biggest impact for us is just sort of the inflationary cost things that everybody sees. Nothing directly supply chain, really for HSC. A little bit on helium. We have some helium constraint issues that I think the whole world is seeing. But other than that, that's about the biggest impact on us.
And these are all things you need in manufacturing.
Mm-hmm.
The product itself, from the time you got until now, is the raw price to the next step up changed much?
For like our cost to manufacture
And the cost to sell, obviously.
Yeah. No, I mean, one of the big things, I would say no, it hasn't really gone crazy, right? Because my job as the manufacturing director, vice president, has been to make sure that we can keep manufacturing it at an efficient place,
cost, right?
at a reasonable cost. And one of the things about the nature, especially on the semiconductor business, is we function in really long-term contracts that kind of are have a lot of fixed price in them, so we can't afford to have significant cost increase, or we're just eroding profitability over time. So our drive is always to make sure we're overcoming inflation and keeping costs where they need to be.
When you added the solar industry to what you produce raw material wise, it was on a big upturn. Have you seen a slide in solar?
There's been a little bit of a roller coaster with solar.
Yeah, that's why.
You're probably aware we actually built a plant in Tennessee at one point that we didn't get to start up, thanks to some trade actions from China ultimately that limited the ability for that. A lot of the customers for that plant originally were from China, and so that just that plant ended. So there were definitely some swings there, but that is the drive for what Corning is doing downstream in solar, to really get an American-centric, American-produced solar industry that goes all the way through from polysilicon to wafer to cell to module, all American-produced, and can supply the sort of Western markets.
So Corning really becomes a middleman in this.
Yeah, Corning is really our customer downstream.
They're your customer downstream,
Yep.
and their customers are those that produce the cells?
And Corning actually has integration all the way down to the module. They're leveraging partners at the cell stage, but they actually have modules.
They have ownership they go all the way through?
Yep, Corning will make modules and sell modules.
So your market is pretty well guaranteed for a while.
Yeah, they're one customer in the solar side. We have other
rather
customers too.
Significant win though, since their name is on the building.
Yeah, there's a similar thing. Our minority shareholder is our largest semiconductor customer as well, but we also have multiple other semiconductor customers, so it's a very similar relationship on the solar side.
How many employees is HSC up to now?
Close to
Roughly.
1,800.
1,800?
Yeah.
And you're still looking?
Yeah.
Yeah. I had, in previous conversations, not with folks from the company, but we were talking about all of the companies around here when Corning announced, and then they were looking for 1,500 employees. HSC was looking for a couple hundred more. SK Siltron was looking for a couple hundred more, and a few other companies looking for more employees. My biggest question is, where are we going to house them? Housing is a critical issue.
That it is. And we've actually started to see some development, which is good to see. I know in Hemlock there's a couple of new subdivisions that are going in, so we are starting to see some housing builds locally, which is needed.
Yeah, the only problem is they're all being built at 300 or more per square foot as opposed to what it used to be. Because a lot of things are what it used to be, And that's the nature of the beast. In terms of employees and longevity, a lot of people stay at Hemlock Semiconductor. They get there, they like it, they stay there, right?
Yes.
That's a good thing for the company, isn't it?
Is a very good thing for the company. Obviously, continuity is huge. I've been at Hemlock, Dow Corning and Hemlock for 36 years, and that's not atypical to have. And especially in the operator, like in our chemical operator ranks, we've got lots and lots of operators that have been there since the 1990s, like boom.
You
and
don't
growth.
want to throw away that expertise.
No. And training new people coming in is a
Yeah.
lot harder. There is a reality that what kids these days know coming in versus what kids
Or what they think they know.
but it's different. They don't have the hands-on practical mechanical aptitude, so there's a lot more that we are developing in-house.
So you had to change the way you look at new employees then,
Yeah.
and how you deal with new employees.
Yeah, and really, and then that whole,
So does it take longer to prep that employee to be autonomous on the line?
Yes. But that's why we've put all that investment in programs, right, to try to help move that along. But all that development does take time to get them there.
Yeah. All right, so I want to finish up talking about the future of Andy Alt and heading out for the World Cup.
Yes. So that's my immediate future. Is really excited about the World Cup coming to the U.S. and I made it my retirement gift that I was going to spend the time going to the World Cup and spending 6 weeks in the Pacific Northwest, going to games in Seattle and Vancouver, and so really excited going to get to see the U.S. play, and so it's gonna that's my transition.
We were interested. You've been involved in soccer for a long time.
Yes.
And I had mentioned that the guy that headed up the host committee for the 1993-94 area of the World Cup coming to the U.S. in Detroit lives right here in Thomas Township.
Yeah.
That we have a strong soccer influence around here, and that sport seems to be growing finally in the United States.
Yeah, we're definitely seeing a strong professional league. My son actually works for the Columbus Crew in Major League Soccer, which is exciting, and so we have a professional league that's competitive. And
why soccer? What
Well,
brought your family to soccer?
so my dad was a 40-year Dow Corning employee, and part of that journey was he was in Germany. So I actually spent 4 years in Germany from age 3 to 7. So that kind of got me that probably got the juice started. And then
But
growing,
you didn't see soccer.
oh yeah,
No, you saw football.
well, foosball.
Football. Yeah.
And then I grew up in Midland, and with Dow's international community in Midland, Midland had a really good soccer culture even back in the 70s and 80s when I was a kid.
They had the soccer fields before everybody else did.
Yeah, so I played soccer growing up, and my brother played soccer, so there was a lot of soccer.
So you're going to go out and watch some games.
Gonna watch some games. Gonna go to some national parks. Go look for some whales. Go enjoy the Pacific Northwest. I haven't really ever traveled out there, so.
Oh, haven't you really?
Yeah, so looking forward to it.
Well, if you have a chance, I don't know what your schedule is, but if you have a chance, I think you can do it from Seattle, but if not, go over to Vancouver and take the ferry over to Victoria. Victoria Island, Victoria, British Columbia is a special place.
Yep.
I love that place. It's one of my favorite places on earth. Could spend a lot of time in that community. Well, listen, first, thanks for coming in today.
Well, thanks for having me.
And thanks for all your good work in the community. And we hope to see you volunteering around here when you get back from whenever your travels bring you back.
Yeah, I am planning to stay as a board member of the Saginaw Community Foundation. So I will definitely definitely be staying involved with that, and I'm working on a couple of other nonprofits that I'm going to join boards. So
yeah, Renee probably has a leash around your neck. So. Andy, it's a great pleasure. We'll see you many times, I'm sure.
All right,
Thanks
a
for
lot.
being with us today.
Thank you.
We'll close out the hour after these notes.
June.
All right, that'll do it for this portion. Stick around for the news. CBS coming along. No, ABC coming along with the national and international report. Michael Percha in the newsroom.
Broadcasting from the storm.